This is DRF Race of the Day. Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF Race of the Day for Thursday, April the 15th, race number 7 at Keeneland. Let's throw up the field for a really interesting turf sprint, going 5.5 furlongs, older allowance horses. You can download free formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at DRF.com. Access them, handicap along with us. You've got some nice turf sprinters with stakes credentials. You've got horses switching surfaces. There's a little bit of everything in here except for pace. Not a ton of pace signed on.
Yeah, there's not. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I guess you'll see Maven, the Wesley Ward horse, go towards the front in this race. Just not really sure how good Maven is. I think that there's a lot of that in this race. There are horses with some stakes credentials, but man, how good are any of these horses?
It's a good point as we take a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector. Who's going to be sharp? Maven should at least be sharp. We haven't seen him since September. He's returning as a first-time gelding, and he does have speed. Edgemont Road has shown speed on dirt. Whether he has that same gas on turf could very well be the key to this race, because if he doesn't go, Maven's alone.
Yeah, true enough. I mean, we'll see if Edgemont Road can keep up with them early. Edgemont Road, I mean, I guess, Dan, he's, sort of an interesting horse in here, just based on his recent dirt form, which is very good. The question is, does he get bet off of that dirt form? It feels like he probably will. He's got figures, he's got speed. All those things could conspire to him to being a horse that takes money in here. I don't know how much money I'd want to take that. I don't know about you. I go back and watch his only turf start last summer at Indiana. I know he was bumped at the start that day. I didn't think he ran well at all.
I didn't think he ran well either, but he really blossomed after that race. William Van Meter did a fantastic job. They dropped him in for 50 on the dirt. He won that race, and his confidence was sky high. He ended up finishing third behind Sleepy Eyes Todd in the Lafayette, then sold to these connections for $275,000 at the Keeneland November sale. So far, so good for the new connections. A win and a stakes placing on dirt behind the ill-fated Zendon, who, of course, won in Dubai. Again, the whole question here is turf.
Yeah, the surface is a huge question for this horse, and whether you want to bet him switching surfaces if he takes money in here, and it feels like he could take money.
Can Boldor, the number 2, stay close to a pace that might favor horses on or near the early lead? That's a key for Boldor. You don't worry about turf. He won the Punchline Stakes for Virginia breds on the grass way back in 2019, and ever since he was gelded over the winter, he's come back with a vengeance on dirt at Oaklawn. 2 wins before understandably being overmatched behind CZ Rocket, Breeders' Cup Sprint winner Whitmore, and recent graded stakes winner Flagstaff.
Yeah, right. You don't want to be too hard on him for the Hot Springs. He was just in too tough there. His other 2 dirt races this year are both good. Yeah, I guess he is a player in here because you're right. He did show that he could handle turf, albeit against a very weak field at Colonial earlier in his career. He's also run well on synthetic. His only other turf start, if you want to say he's really more of a dirt horse, Dan, that would be the evidence for it, that November 2019 race at Churchill. He did absolutely nothing in that race. That was a good field. A couple of the horses in there actually turned out to be really good, but this horse did no running at all the last time he was on turf.
Not only is the number 3 Maven the potential lone speed, he's also a Group 3 winner in France, and he's a new gelding for the always dangerous Wesley Ward barn, and he has a victory at Keeneland off of a lengthy layoff. That was last summer where he was able to get to an easy lead. It could be a similar situation on Thursday.
That would be his advantage, I guess, Dan. After, he started out his career, I guess, like he was going to be okay, a debut winner, a Group 3 winner over in France. He has that Keeneland race that you just referenced where he got loose and won again. I mean, I guess he looked okay at that point. You have to try to reconcile his last 2 races, I guess, if you want to go back to him here as one of the favorites. He didn't do any running in either of his last 2 starts, Dan, but he didn't make the lead in those races either.
The number 4, Smart Remark, is twice graded stakes place sprinting on the turf, but he hasn't won a race going all the way back to Keeneland in 2018. Plus, he was listed as a vet scratch not only at Tampa Bay on March 13th, but at Keeneland on April the 3rd. He has taken on some strong competition.
Yes, and he's run a couple of races that would get him a piece in here, Dan, at what probably will be a pretty good price. I mean, I tried to get him in there with Leinster last time in that grade 3 at Gulfstream, and he didn't pick his feet up, but I know he's better than that.
Oh, Michael Maker knows what he's doing. He took Bad Beat Brian from Pletcher for 35,000. This horse has now won 3 races in a row. Let's go back to the first win in the streak at Gulfstream Park in his first start as a 4-year-old. He's got a lot of work to do, Mike, in this 5-furlong dash. But once he gets to the clear and the outside, he storms on home.
Yeah, his last 3 races look a lot like this one, Dan. They just take him back off the pace, let him settle, get him into the clear and the stretch, and just let him roll. And he finishes every time. He's on a 3-race winning streak. He keeps getting better with every race. The only other 2 times they sprinted him on turf, Dan, he ran well in those races too. He just didn't get the clean trips that he needs. He got stopped in both of those races. When he doesn't get stopped, he wins.
And again, it's all about pace, though, for a horse like this, because he likes to come from out of it. A blue bar time form U.S. pace projector scenario works against him. Maybe these connections found a bargain with another miracle. They bought him in January at public auction for $55,000. Not bad for a multiple stakes winning turf sprinter that was 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint in 2019. And if you look at his last race on synthetic, you can give him the benefit of the doubt. Not only is that not his surface, but the winner of that race came back to win the Kentucky Cup Classic with a 91. That's his surface.
Yeah, that horse is pretty good. This Another Miracle did get bumped pretty hard at the start of that race as well. After that, I thought he got a good trip and just really wasn't a threat. But he did get bumped at the start, and he was off a little bit of a layoff there. Man, Dan, I probably spent more time than I needed to trying to talk myself into this horse in this race. He was a really good 2-year-old, and I just really feel like he hasn't panned out. I know he won a stakes race last July, sprinting on the turf at Monmouth. But other than that, his races surrounding that just don't do anything for me.
Another graded stakes winner that needs a little bit of pace and race luck is the 7 Guildsman. He won the Franklin Simpson going 6.5 at Kentucky Downs last year. Now, the short comment for his race in the Nearctic is blocked stretch, no response, and I think that's very uncharitable. I thought Rafael Hernandez gave him a very good ride. He was in behind the pace. Okay, he couldn't get to the outside, but what did he do? He then followed the winner, Silent Poet, got the split, and the horse just flattened out late. It was a 90 buyer that would make him tough in here. His last 2 races leave a little bit to be desired.
Yeah, they do. I'm kind of with you. I mean, this horse can obviously win in here, Dan. It feels like he's got to be one of the favorites in this race. He has the credentials, certainly, to be a major player in here. I personally don't like any of his races since he got over here. I know his first 2 starts over here, he didn't break great in those races, and maybe he had excuses. I don't know. I just don't really like any of his races. I know he can win. I don't want to bet him.
I was a fan of his early. He's kind of lost me now. I'm in your camp. Joker on Jack. Can he run on the turf? Well, he has the pedigree to do so. The Dam was a nice turf sprinter for Wesley Ward, and Wesley thought he could run on the turf. He shipped him this horse to England for his second lifetime start, where he wasn't beaten that far. Since then, though, it's been synthetic. It's been dirt. He's won 2 in a row. I liked how he grinded out that last race with a pretty decent in-out trip. He did beat 3 next out winners.
Yeah, I like how he won his last race too. And that was off of a very long layoff. He just sat right in behind. He got clear in the stretch. I like the way that he gunned down that horse that came back to win in his next start. He's got, as far as I can tell, plenty of turf pedigree. I mean, I almost feel like this is supposed to be his surface. And he's that, almost that kind of horse I'm looking for in a race like this, Dan, where the horses that are basically made horses already, I'm just not sold on any of them. This horse could just be he could just kind of be anything right now.
And while it's hard to imagine the Ward duo dueling themselves into defeat, Joker on Jack has enough speed, you would think, to sit just off Maven. And if Maven's a short horse off the layoff, even though Joker on Jack hasn't run this year, he might be a little bit more fit. And that's where we go as we take a look at our top selections for this race. Joker on Jack is our top selection. It'll be interesting to see what price we get. Rosario is aboard. That knocks it down a couple points.
Yeah, we'll see how much money he takes in here. He's really the only direction I could go in this race, Dan. I don't like the established horses, and I just didn't really want Bad Beat Brian on top. I kind of feel like Bad Beat Brian, based on his current form, could be one of the horses to beat in here. I just didn't want to put him on top.
8-5-7-6 for Mike. I'm going with Joker on Jack. I think Boldor is a new horse as a gelding, and he might be rallying boldly in the stretch. 8-2-4-5 for me. The Thursday race of the day, the 7th at Keeneland, approximate post 4:24 Eastern. Best of luck.